What is happening, everyone? Welcome back, and if it's your first time here, just plain welcome. I don't have any feeble attempt at a cold open today because some stupidity needs no introduction. If by now you're probably familiar with a little show called The View that has hosts named Sunny, Joy, and Whoopi as the three least appropriately named individuals on the fucking planet. And recently they had a little chat. They were talking about what would it take to get men voting Democrat. And Democrats are putting out a lot of money to try to get men to vote Democrat. Young men especially are not interested in what the Democratic Party is trying to sell. And Joy, she doesn't like the direction they're going. She has a better idea. Let's watch.
You want to know what I think? I think it's a waste of money. Maybe these guys should spend their money on teaching men to not be such sexists. Maybe that's
But the stats don't bear that out now that we've seen the election results. Donald Trump.
So Joy thinks the winning strategy here is to continue treating young men as the problem instead of maybe trying to figure out why they don't want to vote Democrat and changing that. No, it's actually, in a way, it is the same thing. She automatically knows it's because they're a bunch of sexist douchebags. Well, that's...
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
I mean, let's be real here. Democrats have always had the youth vote, largely. Young men, young women alike have voted Democrat. People tend to start off much more liberal in their earlier life, and they get a little more conservative as they get older, which is, that's how it's been for a long time. Until 2024, when young men largely backed Donald Trump. And Democrats are bothered by this. And from a, strategic standpoint, they should be. This is absolutely bad news for them because this is a demographic they've largely counted on to win. If they cannot win in this demographic, that makes it so much harder to win in other demographics where they've lost ground. So they're spending $20 million to try to lure back young men. And Joy would have you believe, really the problem is just they're all sexist. These are young men who went through the public school system, which is really just an indoctrination factory, many of whom went on to college, which is another indoctrination factory. They are consuming popular media, which largely focuses on this idea that young men are terrible, that, leftist politics are ideal. And for some reason, they're not resonating with this argument. Apparently, when you tell millions of Americans that they're evil simply by existing, they grow to resent it, Joy. Right? You just said you need to teach them to not be sexist. There's no data supporting this idea that legions of young men are sexist. They might troll people, but that's saying insulting things to hurt people's feelings is not somebody's truly held positions. I've said all kinds of vile things in my life that I didn't actually believe simply because I wanted to hurt the other person. It was not a mature response. I was not a mature person at the time. That's simply how it is. You're trying, instead of saying, hey, maybe we should find out what these people's, these guys' problem is and how we can address it, you're trying to say you need to double down on them being the problem. That's how they lost. That's how Democrats lost in 2024, Joy. You, please, for the love of God, Democrats, listen to Joy. Please listen to her. Because, Jesus Christ, this is the most brain-dead argument you could present. Are there sexist men out there? Absolutely. Right? They're not, this isn't new. They are out there. We have to put up with them. No one likes them. No one wants anything to do with them, but they are out there. And what you would have us do is treat everyone like this small percentage simply because they voted in a way you didn't like. Joy, nobody likes you, right? No one likes The View. It is the ultimate liberal echo chamber, even though you tend to have a token Republican on there. And I'm not counting Ana Navarro because, Jesus Christ, she's not a token anything except waste of oxygen. Right? The View is not real life. Your New York bubble is not real life. The people you interact with in New York City are not the Americans who vote. They're the New Yorkers who vote, which, while there are a lot of people, they're still not the majority. If you want to keep this up, I am sure the Republican Party would love for you to continue, because all you're managing to do is lay down a groundwork that will ensure midterm wins for Republicans across the board. Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen the people that the Democratic Party has chosen, including an obese Latina queer who wouldn't know what a guy wants if her life depended on it. This is also a very large woman who threatened a hunger strike 5 months ago and apparently really didn't follow through on that idea. Right? I don't actually care. These are not the people who are going to win young men back to the Democratic Party. David Hogg was elected vice chair in effort to get that vote back. And what did they do? As soon as he said, hey, I don't like this shit, they started trying to remove him from his office. It tickles me to no end because I can't stand David Hogg, but, this is the party of democracy. This was a guy who was elected in their party elections, and, he wasn't diverse enough. Jesus Christ, guys. Oh, my God. You fucknuts are a joke. Okay? I am amazed The View is still on TV, because it is considered torture in many nations. I'm pretty sure forcing prisoners to watch The View counts as a violation of the Geneva Convention. God knows, you make me watch The View in jail, I'm calling it cruel and unusual punishment. I will file suit immediately. Not that I plan on being in jail, but, just heads up. It is awful. It provides really nothing of value. It is occasionally a platform for a politician to stand there and rebut some arguments or be supported in their arguments. This does, in fact, happen. I understand entirely. It's still stupid. Okay? It is still beyond idiotic that we are dealing with anything at all like this in this day and age. Yeah, I'm starting to get a little rambly here. Because, frankly, the amount of mental retardation involved, it's baffling. It's hard to wrap your head around someone who thinks they're a political mind who would say this stuff. But the thing is, Joy isn't alone. Right? She represents a lot of people who actually think like this. They legitimately believe that this is just some way, this is the problem. It's not, young men disagree. It's they're racist, they're sexist, they're some other kind of ist. And no one bothers to listen to these kids. Right? I say kids because, Jesus Christ, I'm 51 years old. I am not a particularly young man anymore. I am not the youth vote. And trust me, it still pains me to say that, even at this point. I haven't been part of the youth vote in a long time, and it hurts. It really hurts. Okay? But I'm at least willing to talk to these guys and find out what their issues are. What bothers them. Joy doesn't. Joy has no interest in that. She's ready to lecture. And that is why Donald Trump won. You don't like it? Well, then do better. Because Jesus Christ, you're not doing... What you're doing now ain't working. Right? You threw out Kamala Harris, and it was... No one wanted her. Right? She didn't even make it to the first primary in the 2016 primary. I have exactly as many presidential primary votes as Kamala Harris. And that's saying something. I may have more because I think I may have written myself in one year. Okay. That's who they just rolled out. She's vice president. That's all that matters. There was no primary. There was no nothing. She got her ass handed to her because there was no there. And now anyone who thinks that's a sexist, yeah, Joy, go fuck yourself. All right? Find a rusty chainsaw, crank that bitch up, and fuck yourself with it. Then go for a bath and some ghost pepper juice. All right? Does that sound like a fun time? I hope it is. All right, but you know what? That's my take. What do you guys think? As always, I want to hear from you. Go down in the comments. Tell me what's on your mind. Do you agree with Joy? Do you think that I'm the idiot? Or, is she just completely joyless? That's what I want to know. While you're down there, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. If you're interested, there are channel memberships available now. There are going to be some exclusive content coming up very, very soon. Exclusively for members. There is a Discord exclusively for members. And there's going to be weekend live streams at least twice a month exclusively for members. So if you're interested, check that out. And on that note, I am going to wrap things up, and I will see you all in the next video.